Welcome to Oklahoma Gardening. On today's program, we visit the Will Rogers Gardens in Oklahoma City, where Rod Moselle of American Plant Products and Services shows us the renovated, historic Lykan Conservatory. We speak with OKC Natural Resources Manager Scott Copeland about the work that has been done at Will Rogers and some of the resources that are available to the community. And gardener Jim Woolley takes us on a tour of the beautiful flower gardens. Back at our own garden, Assistant Extension Specialist Shelley Mitchell has a fun horticultural activity for kids, and Barbara Brown prepares chicken, vegetable, and pasta salad. Oklahoma Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Underwriting assistance is provided by TLC, Oklahoma's leading garden center, Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, Tulsa's source for great gardens, southwoodgardencenter.com. and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing.
We are here at the Lykan Conservatory at Will Rogers Park in Oklahoma City, and joining me is Rod Moselle, the president of American Plant Products. And Rod, you've had a lot of history with this conservatory here, and you've done some recent renovations a couple of years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about the history as far as who is Ed Lykan and why is it named after him?
Ed Lykan was Oklahoma City's first florist. They call him the florist of Oklahoma City. He was on the staff of the city. He was actually for about 50 years the head of the Parks Department, and during that time there were greenhouses at Wheeler Park, then at Douglas Park, and then consequently moved in 1936 here to Will Rogers Park.
So it's been sitting here since 1936.
That is correct.
And it's recently gone through some renovations a few years ago. Let's go in and take a look at that.
Let's do it.
Wow, Rod, this looks amazing in here. It's quite beautiful. Can you tell me exactly what you've done? It looks brand new in here.
It literally is brand new. There's just a very few features like the wheels for the vents and so forth that are the actual historic pieces. Everything else, when we took it down, we saved each piece and we remade new pieces that were heavier and stronger, but the very same shapes and look just like the old piece. So actually everything from the concrete stem wall up is brand new. And it's heavier duty, whether it's heavier duty steel than what used to be here to meet the modern building codes. The wood roof bars were replaced with aluminum roof bars, and the glass is double wall glass instead of single glass, but it all looks the same radiuses, same arches, everything looks the same as what it did when it was the original.
So you have a couple of pieces that you brought here. This was originally what the frame was?
That's the original cedar roof bars, so all the roof bars that held the glass used to be, and this is one actually that came off the roof that I save in my office still for history's sake, I guess. And then we replaced those wood roof bars since we needed to hold more weight with the insulated glass and to meet the modern building code. We made these aluminum roof bars that mimic the old wood roof bar, but are much heavier weight, and then the glass lays on each side of this, and then has extrusions that come down over it, so it gets a better weather-tight seal than used to be just glass against wood on both sides. But so that's what's up there on top of the roof and bent to the radiuses and so forth to hold the glass.
And can you tell me kind of how glass has changed over the years too?
Yes, this is, excuse the labels on there, but that's just a single wall glass like used to be used, a double strength glass. And it's still used on a lot of home greenhouses and so forth, and there's still commercial greenhouses left in the city like that, but they're very energy inefficient because it's single glass and they're small panels. Well, we replaced that with insulated glass, so this is actually 2 layers of glass, and most of these are thicker than this, but this is one I had handy. So the outer piece of glass is low E glass, so it reflects a lot of the heat back out, the infrared heat, so we don't get as hot in here as we would with regular glass. The inside between the two glasses is filled with argon gas, again to help with energy efficiency. And then the inside side of the glass is laminated, so if it breaks, it won't fall in a bunch of sharp pieces that could hurt somebody. So it breaks in a bunch of small pieces and stays together till we have a chance to change the glass out. But so all this glass, this is much heavier than the other was, and that's part of why it took a lot more structure to support it now.
And now I know in Oklahoma we don't have a lot of glass greenhouses. What is glass compared to polycarbonate, the double wall plastic greenhouses that we see a lot of times?
Well, glass is still, a lot of growers still like growing under glass because it's the most like growing outdoors under the sun. You get the same light spectrum you get outside. When we use polycarbonates or acrylic or plastic film, all those change the light spectrum a little bit. But in Oklahoma, we're blessed to get lots of light. And so we can give up a little bit of light to get the better hail resistance of the polycarbonates. We can give up a little light to get the inexpensive energy efficiency of a double layer polyfilm. So we trade off getting the more perfect light spectrum of glass for not quite as good. Usually within 8 or 10% is good, but the increased energy efficiency and the lower cost and the last longer, and it doesn't weigh as much, so it takes less frames. So that's why we don't see as much glass. And as you go north, where they have less light, if you go to Holland or parts in Europe, you'll see lots of glass greenhouses because they need every drop of sunlight they can capture.
Right. We take it for granted a little bit. In fact, we have shade cloth up over this right here.
At this time of year, we get so much light that we're figuring out ways to reduce it. We get about 4 or 5 times as much light at the middle of the day in July or August as we get in the middle of the day of December or January. The light's like 16,000 foot candles instead of 4,000 foot candles, and we get it for a lot more hours of the day. So one of the changes to be more modern, I guess, to the historic structure is to add this motorized shade system. And this shade can open and close depending on the light levels and what the settings are set off the controls. So if it's a cloudy day, you can open it up to get full sunlight. If it's a real bright sunny day like in June, July, or August, you can have the shade deployed so that it reduces the sun coming in by 50 or 60%.
Now, Rod, this has shade cloth over it, but in this other wing, there is no shade cloth.
Well, actually there is shade cloth, but this shade cloth is pulled to the open right now.
Right.
The computer sensor is set for how much light energy we want in here. And of course, with this being cactus and succulents in this cell, they've got it set to want more sunlight. So that's why it's open in here when it's closed in the other 2 wings right now. But so this fabric has rolled and collapsed together into these bunches that you see overhead. And then when you want to shade it again or save energy at nighttime, in the winter you'd always extend it to save energy. This is a real fancy fabric that we bring in from Europe out of Sweden. And it'll cut the energy use, even below that insulated glass, it'll cut the energy use by another 35 to 45%.
Oh, wow.
And in the daytime, it acts as shading on the days we want shading. So you can't probably see it on TV, but there's shadows all in here around on the planters and everything, where there aren't any shadows really in there because the shade has reduced the light so much, and even it diffuses it. And here you can still see the shadows of the roof bars and so forth.
Conservatories have really gotten efficient with the way they manage their energy uses, and you also have some cool cells that keep it nice and cool in here for June.
It's not air conditioning, but it's for greenhouse world, evaporative cooling is what we use, and so we're adding more water to the air through these pads and then using the fans to blow the air in, and then we open the vents on the sidewall, so as we push in cool air on that side, we let the hot air go out through the roof vent and through the sidewall vent. So we use a combination of evaporative cooling and passive air movement to try to keep cool air moving through the space and get
air
the hot
circulating.
Air out.
Now, you also in the wintertime have to worry about heating this conservatory. So we have some radiant heat, it looks like, over here.
This has got fin pipe, and hot water is circulating through this in the wintertime. Today, we obviously don't need any hot water, and there's a boiler that serves the 4 production greenhouses and the conservatory, and so the hot water runs through these fins, warms up the fins, and then the heat moves from a point of high concentration to low concentration out into the space. So the actual only heat in this greenhouse is in these fin pipes around the 4 walls. In the main conservatory, there's also some heat in the floor underneath the pavement, in addition to because we didn't have as much wall space as we needed for the fin pipe there. So we can do the heat under the floor or around the walls of the greenhouse.
So how long did all of this work take to rebuild this conservatory?
From the time we took the greenhouse down till we finished building it for the grand opening was about a 2-year project, which, you could never do a commercial greenhouse like that, but when a lot of these things we couldn't measure or redesign until we had down had down the old piece to do, so it was a very slow, cumbersome process. And since it's on the National Register of Historic Places, actually the 32 acres of the gardens where you're going to be visiting some other parts as well were put on the National Register in 2005, including this Lykan Conservatory. And so we've tried to be true to that historical message, and so it made it a slow process to make everything match as we went along.
Well, you guys did amazing work, and it's beautiful to see such a historic place brought back to life.
It's very cool. I might mention real quickly, there also is another of these Lord and Burnham. These Victorian greenhouses are designed by a firm out of New York back in the early 1900s called Lord and Burnham, which is very famous. There's two others still standing that I know of in Oklahoma, one in Woodward Park at Tulsa, and then one on the old Champlin Estate in Enid. It's still, there's some others like the one at Muskogee and all have disappeared over the years. But so these are true treasures, true Victorian art pieces that we're excited to have here in Oklahoma City and in our state.
Well, I would encourage everyone to come visit.
Thank you.
Joining me next is Scott Copeland, who's the Natural Resource Manager for the City of Oklahoma City. And Scott, this is an amazing facility.
It's a great facility.
Can you kind of tell me about how the city's utilizing this?
We rent this space. We have a lot of weddings out here. It's rented all the time, weekends, weeknights. We have classes in here sometimes. Like every third Thursday of the month, we will have a class that Jim Woolley teaches, and it's how to make bouquets and flower arrangements and stuff like that. So it's a great class for anybody to come out and see and participate in.
Very exciting, and this is available. It's open to the public daily.
Yes, daily.
But people can also rent this.
Yes, that's correct.
And where can they find more information about that?
You can go to okc.gov. They can also call the phone number for the building out here, and we have a lady that actually will answer your questions, anything you want to know, and she's great with people, does an awesome job. And we'll help out anybody out here that wants to use the facility.
Perfect.
It's a great facility.
Well, it's beautiful, and you've got a lot of beautiful containers inside, but the grounds outside are just amazing.
Yes.
There's so much color here.
Well, it's the color garden now. It used to be the rose garden, and about 2 years ago, blight came through and kind of, did away with the roses.
We all lost a few roses, yes.
And so we've gone back through in the last couple of years, and we've put in a lot of color, a lot of different kind of plant material. Butterflies, bees love this place now, but if you go out there right now, there's color everywhere.
Well, your hard work is definitely paying off here.
That's my staff, and I have to, call out my director and assistant director. There's a new direction the park system's going, and we're really trying to make things better. So.
And it definitely shows.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate that.
Okay. Just in case you happen to have a bunch of CD cases lying around, or even cassette tape cases, and you don't know what to do with them, I'm going to show you something you can do with them. If you don't have one of these, you can use a Ziploc bag, so it's okay. Just take out the cover and all the written material that was in the CD case. You're going to fold a paper towel to fit. More or less. Then you just sprinkle some seeds on there, and we're going to watch them. We're going to watch them germinate. So we're just going to put some in there. Close it up real good. If you want to keep the pressure on so the seeds don't move, you can add a piece of tape. And then you can just put it in the water, let the towel soak up the water, and let the seeds get wet that way. Or if you want to, you can just spray some water on it. And in a few days, this isn't a radish, but in a few days, you can watch the seeds germinate. And the roots always go down, so if you really want to play with it, since the roots respond to gravity by going towards the ground, you can actually take this and turn it every day and be like Etch-a-Sketch roots. So if you have a bunch of CD or DVD cases or a bunch of cassette tape cases and you're wondering what on earth to do with them, well, don't throw them away. You can either have your grandkids sprout some seeds, or you can donate them all to an elementary school teacher who would be happy to use them for her kids to sprout seeds.
We are at the Charles E. Sparks Color Garden, and joining me is Jim Woolley, a gardener here, and it's just beautiful, Jim.
Thanks. Here, smell this.
What is this that I'm smelling?
Well, it's fennel.
Oh, okay. There's no caterpillars on this,
Not
are
yet, but we're expecting them any day.
It's this beautiful plant behind us here, this bronze fennel. Just amazing. Great for butterflies.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of plants here in what you call your Oklahoma knot garden.
This is my idea of an oaky knot garden. And we've got all kinds of herbs and things here that people love to come out and just, tootle around in here and bring their children out and smell the plants. And you'll see through this whole area here that in 18 months what a lot of hard work can do.
Yeah, for a garden in June, having this much color in Oklahoma, it's just really amazing. There's a lot of natives that you have here, a lot of pollinator plants. This garden originally was the rose garden, correct?
Originally was. We had to take out the roses because of a disease that just, devastated it, and people had they wanted to know where the roses were, but I think they're coming around to liking this as well because of all the pretty color, and it's really offered something to the community. Like I say, 18 months ago, none of this was here, and nothing that you see here could have been done without volunteers.
Who all helps with this? I mean, this is a lot of work.
Master Gardeners has saved our bacon, like really big time. These people are so phenomenal. They come 3 times a month, and they clocked about 2,000 hours last year of volunteer time. Like I say, we couldn't do it without them. And then we have other volunteers. We have people that just come in and say, hey, you got something I can do? And sure, let's go pull weeds.
So they help maintain the beauty of this garden, keep it clean, keep it deadheaded, a lot of the weed pulling and that sort of stuff. How does the design come about? You have a lot of color, but you have these kind of punctuations of this burgundy throughout the garden.
Well, one thing we learned from a previous place where we worked, that having a color palette was very important. And so that's why that we get together, all the gardeners get together, and they all have some input in it. And then there's the guys of us that work here for the city, and we start getting stuff early in the in the winter time, and we grow it in the greenhouses. We get plugs that are about like this Buddleia was like this big. About
so you've grown most
ago.
of these out.
Most everything except for the shrubs.
Okay.
And but the flowers, the zinnias and things, we take seeds in the fall. The celosia, people gives us seed. We gather seed and do our own growing and stuff. So we've got the city has made a way for us to get our greenhouses up to a really cool standard, and so we can do a lot of on our own.
Now, do you do education programs out here as well?
We have education programs. We have container gardening classes. We have floral design classes on the Thursday night, the third Thursday night in every month. We have a floral design class for people at 7 o'clock for people who can't get here during the daytime. And then on weekends we have fairy garden classes and just all kind of gardening stuff that we do here.
So what's your favorite plant out here in all of these plants?
Well, I like them all so well, but I think probably the rutabagas, that's the yellow up there, that's Indian summer. And it's probably my favorite because I can see it from anywhere in the gardens. When we came, this garden, and I refer to it as a garden, it's no longer Will Rogers Park, it's Will Rogers Gardens.
Okay.
And, but it was all, shrubs and this and that, and you couldn't see anything, because it was so overgrown. So we were permitted to lift everything up and take a bunch of stuff out where, as you can look, you can just see almost plumb to Portland now and plumb to the interstate. And you can also hear the interstate. This is some of our resident geese, if anybody would like.
They're only pulling the weeds out of the Bermuda grass, right?
Yeah, I hope. But they're fun.
Well, it's absolutely beautiful here. This is obviously open to the public to come and enjoy, and I would encourage the public to get out here and take advantage of this beautiful park. It's amazing the work that you guys are doing here, and we're so glad to showcase it and share it with our viewers.
I'm certainly glad you came, and it's fun. I was going to retire this year, and I've decided I'm just going to stick around.
It's a great office to work in.
It is, and it's fun. We have great people that work here. We probably have one of the best gardening teams anywhere around. And then with the Master Gardener program helping us, and then the volunteers that come in, it makes it all click. But our management has saw that this could be something more than what it ever was, And so we appreciate that. And, you know, like I told you when you were my boss, my main job is to make my boss look good.
Well, Jim, there's going to be a lot of people that see this garden a lot more. So we encourage all the viewers to come out.
Thanks for coming.
Today we're doing chicken, vegetables, and pasta salad, and I think you're going to like this one. It's fairly easy and you can do it somewhat ahead of time. So we're going to start with 8 ounces of shell pasta is what I'm working with. You can use whatever shape you have, but small ones work better. Small macaroni would work fine as well. So I've got the shell macaroni. Cook it for the shorter time that it offers you on the box. So that it still has some resistance to it, a little bit al dente, and then drain it well. Now, while that's happening, you go ahead and get 2 cups of broccoli florets and steam them for about 5 minutes. Without bug if you can help it. And then when you get the pasta done and that's drained off, these should be done about the same time. And while the pasta is still warm, we're going to go ahead and mix all the ingredients together because it absorbs the flavors better when it's under that situation. So we've got the 2 cups of pasta going in, and then I've got about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I cook the pasta without adding any salt to the water because I'm going to be adding some seasonings that include salt as I go, and so those flavors are going to be included later. I'm also going to add 2 cups of diced cooked chicken. Now, salads should be, all the ingredients should be in bite-sized pieces. So the broccoli floret should be cut so that you can get it in your mouth without having to cut it. And the same with the chicken. I like it bigger, I like it chunky, but not so big that people have to get out the knife. I just want them to be able to use the fork as they go through. Next, I've got 2 tomatoes, and as the season goes on, this salad's going to get better and better as the tomatoes improve. So I've got 2 large tomatoes that are going in here, and again, I'm trying to get most of the chunks cut so that they're similar in size. So the broccoli florets and the tomato pieces and the chicken are about the same. And then I've got 2 radishes. Now, radishes, of course, come in a variety of sizes, so you may have to make some alterations as you go here. If you like more, go ahead. I've got the kind with red on the outside, but there are so many varieties of radishes. Use whichever you have. And then 1/2 cup of chopped red onion. So, like all salads, this has so much color in it. And then about 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, depending on how spicy you want it. And the last thing I'm going to add to this is 3/4 cup of Italian dressing. And you can see by the surface of this one that this one actually has oil in it. So it's what you might call a real one as opposed to a light or a fat-free version. But you can use those others as well. This is going to go over the salad, and then you're going to stir it fairly gently because you've got the tomatoes in there and the seeds and so on are going to come out. And then hopefully you'll have about 30 minutes that you can cover this and put it in the refrigerator so the flavors have time to mix together. However, if you were going to a potluck, you could do this a few hours ahead of time. You could probably, because the broccoli is steamed and the chlorophyll is set so that the color comes out a little bit better, you may be able to do it and hold it overnight, but I wouldn't count on it the first time. I'd experiment with that with leftovers, see if it looks okay the next day too. Generally what happens when chlorophyll is exposed to acid, and we have acid ingredients here in the tomato as well as the salad dressing, it starts to discolor. So this is going to sit for about 30 minutes, and then you have a wonderful salad that's actually a main dish salad. So this becomes your meal. It's not a side salad like a lot of pasta salads are, because we have lots of protein, we have lots of vegetables, we have some carbohydrate as well. So you could do this with a whole grain pasta if you chose. But there you go. This is chicken, vegetable, and pasta salad. It goes together fairly quickly. I think you'll enjoy it, and I think your family will like it as well. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.
There are lots of great horticultural events this time of year. Be sure and consider these activities when you're making your plans for the weeks ahead. Next week on Oklahoma Gardening, we travel to Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, where gardening guy Paul James joins Casey to dig to the bottom of potting soil and look at the All-American Vegetable Trials at Southwood Farm. We check out interesting Japanese maples at Sooner Plant Farm. There will be a high-tech solution for your mowing, and we root out the grubs. So join us then for more TV you'll grow to love. To find out more information about show topics, as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure and visit our website, oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. And we always have great information, answers to questions, photos, and gardening discussions on your favorite social media as well. Join in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find this entire show and other recent shows, as well as individual segments on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And tune in to our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel to watch segments from previous hosts. Oklahoma Gardening is produced by the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University. The Botanic Garden at OSU is home to our studio gardens, and we encourage you to come visit this beautiful Stillwater jewel. We wish to thank our generous underwriters, TLC Garden Centers, Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Additional support is provided by Pond Pro Shops, Greenleaf Nursery and the Garden Debut Plants, and the Oklahoma Horticultural Society.